I wanted to be at Texas State. I chose to be at Texas State. I'm from Texas. That was important to me. I always knew if the right guy got this job, you better watch out.
You better watch out. This is Win Now or Get Bent, episode 152. If you don't already know, I'm Kev Tardello, coming to you on Wednesday, January 24th. And wow, what a fiasco. What a chaotic week for the Texas State Bobcats. If you missed it, because it just happened today, Jayden de Laura has withdrawn from Texas State. It's been about a 9-day saga since he committed to the Bobcats. And then TJ Finley went to the portal. TJ Finley then went to Western Kentucky. And now Jayden de Laura is gone. We're going to talk about it. We're going to break it all down. We're going to make this a quick episode because this is kind of an emergency pod. We're just going to talk about this. There's obviously going to be a lot more fallout, and he may not be the only player leaving from this situation. A little bit of a teaser, so hang on there. Before we get to any of that, this episode is sponsored by TGC, the Galindo Collective, TGC LLC at thegalindocollective.com, a team of professional consultants dedicated to helping others realize their business potential through people, planning, and practice. Their services cover a wide range of areas such as business strategy, marketing, human resources, and financial planning. If you own property or a business and want to maximize its profitability, contact TGC at thegalindocollective.com. That's GALINDO, galindocollective.com, and follow their social media platforms on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at TGC_LLC on that platform, and on Instagram and Facebook at the Galindo Collective. Shout out to Rick Galindo, a true Texas State sicko, a Texas State grad himself. He's been one of our earliest sponsors, been with us since last spring, continues to be with us out there helping us in extra special ways these days. Really, really proud to still be partnering with Rick Galindo and the Galindo Collective. Check them out for all your needs at thegalindocollective.com. And we are also partnered up with Chilsey. I got to get this tumbler more ready, more handy beforehand, but I got it right here. Chilsey.com, CHILLZEY.com. Custom tumblers, custom koozies, whatever logo you want to put on there. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, Win Now or Get Bent on YouTube, you can see me holding up the tumbler with our Win Now or Get Bent logo on it. If you order 6 or more of these and you punch in Bobcats at your checkout, you'll be able to get them for $15 a pop. So that's not bad. Any kind of work event, family event, whatever you got it going on, it's perfect for that. Anything you need, custom koozies or tumblers, check them out. Chilsey.com, CHILLZEY.com. Shout out to Dennis Redding there, true Texas State sicko, Texas State grad himself. Okay, let's get to it. I've already teased it. I won't tease it further. We're just going to jump right into it. Jayden de Laura is out. It is the shortest tenured starting quarterback in the history of Texas State. The guy was here for a full week. It was last Wednesday that they announced the signing. I put out a podcast. I recorded one Wednesday afternoon, put it out Wednesday evening. Then they announced 10 mid-year enrollees that they signed, transfers, which we'll go over those as well. 9 new players. Some of them we knew about, some of them we didn't. So we're going to talk about some of those guys. One of those 10 that we did know about was Jayden de Laura. So that was last Wednesday night. They made the signing official. It was last Monday that they announced he had committed. He announced he was committed to Texas State. Following day, starting quarterback TJ Finley enters the transfer portal. It turns out that the day after that Jayden de Laura had committed, we talked about this on the last pod. If you missed that, go listen to 151 for a little bit of context, because I'm going to kind of glance through it somewhat quickly, but I'll summarize it really fast. That his settlement for a sexual assault case from when he was a minor, a civil suit was settled the day after he committed to Texas State. And then the following day after it was settled, he signed with Texas State. And so the details of that lawsuit were made public record with the settlement coming out, and they weren't pretty, and people reacted accordingly. I'm actually pretty proud of the reaction from a lot of Texas State people. They weren't taking it quietly, and that was very nice to see. It's nice to see from the University Star as well, putting it on the front page of the paper, really holding their feet to the fire. We got a somewhat tone deaf response on Friday from the school and from GJ Kinney. That was they were dismissing it, saying, "Oh, he was a minor, trying to get by with some of the legal jargon that was used there, where he wasn't able to plead guilty in this case, and they were just standing by that. Well, he wasn't proven guilty, so all's well that ends well, and it didn't end well. People didn't like that. There was a protest scheduled for this Friday. Don't know if that's still going on. But that seemed to be the headlining case was Jayden de Laura coming in. So cut to Monday, we see Craig Stutzman is off to San Jose State to be the offensive coordinator there. Now that is an upgrade for him. It's a coordinator position. It's a Division I coordinator position. Not faulting him for taking that job, but this was the guy that even in that rebuttal that they had for the Jayden de Laura deal on Friday, this was Craig Stutzman was the guy that they pointed to that said he gave him a good character evaluation. He knew him from the same hometown in Hawaii and everything. And within a week, this guy is gone. They signed him on Wednesday. He's gone on Monday. That wasn't great. That wasn't a great look. Um, and then we see TJ Finley, Western Kentucky, commits there. Don't know how official that is or whatever. I highly, highly doubt he would come back now if he's not already officially there. I can't imagine he has to feel some certain type of way after this whole situation. So I imagine he's off to Western Kentucky, and that's a pretty good school. We've seen Bailey Zappi. We've seen the Hilltoppers have some pretty good success. Shout out to Riley Chestnut, Texas State grad. He calls some of their games up there. Um, but but it's he's likely they're without a quarterback. Basically, is what I'm getting at. I mean, they have PJ Hatter, who he's got a lot of potential, a lot of talent. He hasn't started a game yet. This is definitely a PJ Hatter pod. We've talked about that before. We're really high on them on this pod. I know the Wizard producer here, Zachary Webb. We've liked PJ Hatter for a long time. Um, but that's not enough. PJ Hatter and Brad Jackson, that's what we're looking at now because CJ Rogers entered the portal. Malik Hornsby's off to Arkansas State. And now TJ Finley is going to Western Kentucky, and Jayden de Laura is gone. Is he off to San Jose State following Stutzman? Who knows? Who knows what the situation is there? And who knows if Jayden de Laura, all the statements said, let's read the statement verbatim from the school. It's not very long. It's Jayden de Laura has withdrawn as a student at Texas State University and will not be a part of the Texas State football program. That's it. That's their statement in its entirety on that whole situation. So, did he withdraw on his own? Did he feel the heat? Did he show up on campus and saw himself on the cover of the University Star and saw flyers for this protest and decided not to come here? Did the school back out of it? What happened with this situation? What does this mean for the relationship between the administration and GJ Kinney? How frayed is it after this? I imagine this is a pretty divisive situation. It was. I thought it would be more divisive amongst fans, but it seemed that the majority of you sickos out there weren't want to win, but you don't want to win this way. They didn't want to tolerate it this way. So they heard you and they decided to move on. I do know this about GJ Kinney. He is really good at recruiting quarterbacks. We saw him do this last season. Brought in Malik Hornsby in January. Went through the spring with Malik Hornsby and CJ Rogers competing. And after spring, he went out and got TJ Finley. TJ Finley didn't even get here till July. So if you're wondering, can GJ Kinney scramble and get a quarterback to transfer in post spring? Yeah, he did that. He was TJ Finley last year. So I'm confident in their ability to go out and find another quarterback. I'm sure they're already looking. Although it is at this moment, it's there's probably not a ton to pick from. Everybody's kind of found homes and are settling in places. But that being said, things will change after spring practice. Things will start to reveal themselves as guys. They'll see, oh, maybe I'm not going to be the starter of this team. Let me go ahead and hop in the portal, which I'm pretty sure was the situation with TJ Finley. On the whole TJ Finley situation and him entering the portal, I said this on episode 151. And again, if you didn't hear that one, go back and listen to it. There's a lot more context. We're really just dealing with the fallout from that. So you can go hear a lot about that. But with them even searching for another quarterback, I had no problem with that. That wasn't the issue. It wasn't the issue that they brought in another starter and that TJ Finley decided that he wanted to go find somewhere where he was going to for sure be the starter. He felt he had earned that after doing what he had did last season. And from his perspective, I totally understand that. But from the coach's perspective, I also understand wanting to maximize what you can at that position, at any position, but especially that position, the most important position, not just in football, some would argue in sports and team sports. That is the most important individual position. But I don't fault the coaches for looking for another quarterback. Why they felt that maybe they didn't fully understand what was going on with his past. They didn't fully look into it until he got here and things were opened up. That's me giving a lot of benefit of the doubt because I imagine they did vet the process. And a little bit of quick research would show you that that guy had a lot of baggage, a lot of issues that he was bringing in, and it was disappointing to see them bring him in. It's still disappointing when I think on it. I'm glad that they corrected it, that they saw the optics were not great and that people were not gonna not be thrilled. And I'm sure that affected it financially. And I'm sure even him, there's an inverse to it. Him being gone, I'm sure affects it financially. This was bad all around. There's no winners here. Nobody won. TJ Finley didn't win. Jayden de Laura didn't win. GJ Kinney didn't win. I mean, nobody won here. So it's a pretty disappointing and chaotic offseason for Texas State. It doesn't mean that their season's over. It doesn't mean that it's all going to be for naught. Because if anything, it can end here. At least the narrative can stop talking about it. The longer he was going to be on this team, the more people like me and other media and fans were going to talk about it. It's just you can't help it when it was going to be a big black cloud over this program. That's not fair to anybody involved, especially not to the other 119 or so players on this team that are really good players that deserve to have full support and to not be the villains. That's the thing is Texas State is just coming off a season where there was so much goodwill, not just from its own fan base, but from other fan bases around after that bowl game, after everybody seeing the showing and that the fans had at the First Responders Bowl. What a fun time they had. What a fun program this is, trending on the upward scale. It washed away and now it's kind of a bad taste in people's mouth with this. But again, that can change as quickly as it changed from good to bad and go from bad to good. So make it good. It's up to them to make it good from here on out. Because that was pretty bad. It was bad from a many perspectives. From a personnel perspective, because you lose your starting quarterback from last year and you don't have him replaced with another quarterback because that guy he withdrew. And it's bad from a public relations standpoint. I mean, the optics of it, we've discussed it at nauseum. It's not great. And now there are people who are usually not talking about Texas State are talking about Texas State and doing it in a negative light. So this was bad all around. And the bowl game wasn't even a month ago. That's the crazy part. Is it season just ended and it's already gotten this chaotic. But as quickly as it descended, it can ascend. So, let's see what they do to change the narrative. GJ Kinney, he makes splashy moves, sometimes good, sometimes very polarizing. That's a nice way to put it. Very polarizing. bad move, stupid move. He really showed his young coach roots right there. He's a young coach. And that was, and I alluded to it on the last pod too. He's all ball. And this is something where maybe he had the blinders on. He's too much all ball, where he couldn't see how the outside world would look at this whole situation. But as I said earlier, that this was one of Jayden de Laura was one of 10 players that they announced as mid-year enrollees. Let's see. Let's look at these mid-year guys. I'm pulling up the list right now. Okay. Jayden de Laura, we can scratch him off the list. But now we have Toonmise Adelaide, defensive lineman from Katy, Texas. His last school was Michigan State. He's a transfer from Michigan State, but he also played at Texas A&M. Always nice to get a big defensive lineman. That was definitely a sneaky pickup by the Bobcats with Toonmise. Hopefully I'm saying his right name, Toonmise Adelaide. Then they also got another running back, Torrance Burgess. He's transferring in from UTEP, another UTEP transfer. That's the third one. Got a corner, a linebacker, and now a running back coming in from UTEP. He's initially from Pearland, Texas. We got Brendan Frankie, he's a kicker. He's coming in from Georgia Southern. Nice to get a Sun Belt transfer. They got a few of those actually with this one. We knew about this next guy, Max Harris, linebacker from ULM. And Talek Lockett, offensive lineman, also from ULM. Another defensive lineman, Alex Merritt from Eastern Michigan. He's initially from Cincinnati, Ohio. Looks like he has just 1 year left. A lot of these guys are upperclassmen transferring in, 1 to 2 years left for each of these. Stephen Parker, which is a pretty big one. He's coming in from Incarnate Word, but he's highly rated on 247. Watch out for Stephen Parker. He's only got 1 year left, initially from Dallas, Texas. And we talked about the next guy, Blake Smith, tight end. I talked about him on 151. He's from Oklahoma, another tight end. And then Dante Thompson is transferring in from Arkansas State. He's initially from Pensacola, Florida. So they got one back on Arkansas State. Arkansas State got Malik Hornsby. They got a wide receiver. Bobcats got corner Dante Thompson. Maybe they can put Thompson on Hornsby next season. So those are the 9 that they've added after they had 22. So that gives them 31 right now. And with signing day officially in February, early February, it's a really good class. If there's one thing it needs, if I really look at it and I'm thinking about it, it really needs a quarterback. This class, it could use a quarterback. They got Brad Jackson in there. You still got PJ Hatter, but man, oh man, what a turn! What a turn from last year. It was like, man, they have too many quarterbacks. They got to get rid of one. Ty Evans gotta get rid of one. What's Ty Evans doing? Can Ty Evans come back? I know he's hanging out in Colorado. I'm pretty sure he's moved on with his life from football. We've always been Ty Evans fans over here. At least I have. I say I have for sure. I haven't really picked Webb's brain on Ty Evans. I always thought that guy should have gotten a better chance. But they definitely need a quarterback. And no doubt in my mind, they're going to go out and find someone in the transfer portal. Will we know about it before spring, after spring? Not sure. But they desperately need a quarterback now. What the hell, guys? I mean, like this. I finally get a season where it's just wins and good spirits and talking about nice things, and it's not a mess, and seems like the starting quarterback is going to come back in the transfer portal era of all eras. They're able to get the quarterback to #7 back and the whole deal, and now it's a mess so quickly. And I got to give as much as I'm bashing on him, and this was the optics of it and everything about it was icky and not very well thought out. I guess that's a nice way to put it. It is an unfortunate byproduct of the current landscape of college football, and I know I've probably talked about this too much, and it gets talked about a whole lot, but it is true. the transfer portal was the Wild West, where guys can come and go and whenever they please. I mean, TJ Finley it was just showing that um, they are able to leave, and it's good for them, the player empowerment. But it just goes to show that the schools and the universities and these programs need to get smarter, or not smarter, but on the same page about sharing the revenue with the players, and it won't create so much headache. Where if you sign some contracts, if you will, not necessarily 4-year contracts, but maybe some like a 2-year deal, where you don't have to re-recruit every single player almost every day. It's a lot to deal with. I'm not saying that that's excusing anything that happened, but I will say with how quarterbacks leave, or not just quarterbacks, but any position, how any position can just leave. Coaches are constantly thinking, well, what if this guy decides to leave? I need to have another player ready. I have to keep refilling the roster in case other players leave. So I understand the struggles with that. So that's the only aspect I'm excusing. I'm not excusing the decision to bring Jayden de Laura, or thinking it would go over well with TJ Finley, or go over well with any of the fans, or anybody. That's inexcusable, but there definitely needs to be some regulation on the transfer portal and how everything works. At least just some rules in place. Something where the portal opens maybe once a year, not twice a year. I understand though that they open it twice because you have to allow players to transfer before each semester. They have to be able to get in there and enroll in school. I know that's why the rules are the way they are right now, but something needs to be figured out with that, because it's chaos. It's chaos right now. It's hard for coaches to get a hold of. And I can imagine it's exhausting for players as well to be constantly to be bombarded with hey, you could go here, you could go there. It's a lot. So some regulation to it would calm some of the chaos. At least in theory, it would. I think it would. But yeah, so there you go. As the Bobcat turns over here, soap opera in San Marcos. Lots of chaos, but signing day coming up in February. See if they can work some magic. Probably got to wait till after spring ball for a true transfer quarterback. Can't imagine there's a ton in the portal right now. Seems like the ones that it did enter the portal found a home, back to where they were going to go to school. So we'll see. We'll keep you posted on all of that. This was, like I said, I'm going to keep this very short. This was an emergency pod. I've got another one planned coming up soon. I'm hurrying through this one today because I'm taking stats at the Spurs game. Today's Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, doing stats for Bill Schoening. Shout out to Bill Schoening, play-by-play for the Spurs. My good buddy Carl Schoening, you know him. He hooked me up with this gig. We know I need some work these days, so I gotta get it where I can. But we'll get another pod for you. Talk a little more in depth about the other sports, and of course football. Lots to talk about with football always. I'll go through the plugs real quick. YouTube channel, Win Now or Get Bent on YouTube. If you're not watching already, if you are, thank you. Make sure you mash that subscribe button, leave a comment, do all those cool things. Do that if you're listening to the audio version. That's how I love to listen to my pod, the audio style. If you're listening on Apple, Spotify, make sure you hit us with some comments and some stars and all that good stuff. Thank you to TGC LLC for sponsoring us. Thank you to Chilsey.com for also sponsoring us. Thank you to the Wizard, Zachary Webb, for producing every pod, making me look good. And thank you to you sickos for tuning in. Tough news. Sorry, everybody. I wish it was better stuff. I was bringing you better news. But, at least Texas State made the right decision. No, not letting this place become Baylor. We beat Baylor. That was last season. We whooped those guys. This is a different place. San Marcos. We want to win, but not that bad. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. This would be nothing without you. I'd be shouting into the void without you sickos. So thanks to all of you. Win now or get bent.